What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having an amazing day. If you don't already know, my name is Anomaly. That's spelled A-N-0-M-A-L-Y. Just to repeat, because even people who watch a lot don't know how to spell it, it's A-N-0-M-A-L-Y. You can follow me on Twitter at Legendary Energy. You can follow me on Instagram at Dream Rare. You can follow me on Facebook. You can follow me on YouTube. You can follow me wherever you want, really. Just don't follow me home. That would be creepy. Anyway, there's some big news today about Donald Trump Jr. That's the latest installment of this Russia saga. And I call it a Russia saga because it's honestly exactly like a reality show or a TV show. It's like a 50-part installment, not because it's going to lead to anything, not because it's honest, not because it's genuine, literally just because it makes a lot of money and they know a lot of people dislike Donald Trump. So they use their emotions and their hate to literally just string them on and on and on and on and on. Because without the Russian narrative, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post, MSNBC, they would be failing news organizations with no viewers. All they have is the resistance crowd. The resistance crowd. And I want to remind everybody that a big producer for CNN actually admitted on a hidden camera that they're doing all of this Russian stuff for ratings. He said, it's for ratings. He was like, you know what? Donald Trump is actually completely right. It is a smoking gun. It's a witch hunt. We have no evidence. This is a high-level producer for CNN who's been part of hundreds of segments for CNN. He's been traveling around the world on CNN's dime. He admitted that it's all for ratings. So I just want to remind you that. I also want to remind you before I start that multiple stories from the New York Times and Washington Post and CNN have been completely fake, false, and made up. And there's been absolutely little to no repercussion of that. Twitter news doesn't talk about it. Facebook news doesn't talk about it. MSNBC, Washington Post, New York Times, they retract their own stories, but then they don't even report on it. So it's like they lie to people, get millions of people to believe their lies. And then as soon as they find out that their lies are wrong, they don't go and correct people. They just they purposely just propaganda and brainwash people. So they lied about 17 intelligence agencies. That was the #1 talking point. They said, well, it's got to be. I mean, there's 17 intelligence agencies. Who do you think you are to disagree with 17 intelligence agencies? It turns out that whole narrative was a lie. It was 3 or 4 the entire time. And it's not even the fact that it's 4 to 17. I mean, that's a huge number. It's just the presidents. If they're going to lie about that and convince millions of people, like in a logical argument when they're talking to me or somebody else, like people have facts, logic, reality, and the only thing that they had all year against that was 17 intelligence agencies. I mean, these people are such phonies. They lied about multiple Russia stories. CNN fired or had 3 reporters resign over a phony Russia story. You had Washington Post retracting multiple Russian stories about Kremlin-linked media, which was completely fake. They had to retract it. And also the Russian hack to the Vermont power grid, which literally never happened. It's not that they're just negative. That's what the press used to be, just like very passive-aggressive, sociopathic, negative people who have a negative spin for everything. It's not just that anymore. Now those sociopathic, negative people are literally just creating fake stories like it's a reality show, episode 3, 4, 5, 6. So the big Donald Trump scoop, which honestly Donald Trump Jr. could have done a better job of not falling into this trap, knowing that they're so, obnoxious, but maybe he just didn't care. He had a meeting with a Russian lawyer. Once again, if you have any Russian friends or family, know if you ever got involved in the politics or you were in the Trump campaign, you wouldn't be allowed to talk to them because everything's a scandal now. All of a sudden, Russian people are discriminated against and hated against publicly because MSNBC thinks it's okay. New York Times thinks it's okay. They say, don't be xenophobic. Don't be, you can't judge people based on their culture, but we're going to slander every person who talks to another Russian. So Donald Trump Jr. met with a Russian lawyer because the Russian lawyer claimed to have serious information on Hillary Clinton, and millions of Americans, I would say tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of Americans, would love to see justice when it comes to the Clinton family. So don't think Donald Trump Jr. is alone. So he went to that meeting and he got framed of some sort. The whole media said, oh my goodness, he's meeting with a Russian lawyer. oh my goodness, this is so crazy. And of course they tried to tie it to the election hacking, like, oh my God, Russia hacked the election, even though we have no proof of that. Nothing happened. Like, we have just rough proof that they tried to do stuff. And now he's meeting with a lawyer. It's totally unrelated. He met with her. Turned out she didn't have any information. But the really good twist, because yesterday that was the big thing, was like, oh my goodness, you know, he knew that they were this and that. He releases all his own emails on Twitter today. He says, okay, you could look at all of them. He releases them all. I mean, you could compare that to the Clinton family, who hid and deleted 33,000 emails. She smashed multiple smartphones and iPads and computers to hide the information. Also, you can compare, let's see, what's more you know, incriminating. Let's do this. We'll do it very simple that even a 5-year-old could play along. Okay, is Donald Trump Jr. talking to a Russian lawyer? Is that incriminating? That's one side, Donald Trump Jr. talking to a lawyer. And then you have Bill Clinton doing $500,000 speeches for Kremlin-linked banks, getting paid literally as a front to funnel money to the Clinton Foundation for things and favors that they actually did for Russia. So let's see, a meeting where he just talks to find information, or a $500,000 speech to Kremlin-linked banks. It's honestly a joke if anybody knows, you know, the past, the present, and what politicians are really doing. But I mean, Donald Trump definitely fell for the trap, because now anything involved with Russia, they're going to scrutinize. And I'll be honest, at the beginning of the campaign, I was not a fan of Donald Trump Jr. because I saw the photos of him game hunting, you know, hunting African animals, and I thought it was pretty disgusting, and I still do. I don't think game hunting is really a cool thing to do. I think it's a loser thing to do, and I think it's kind of pathetic to just kill unarmed animals like lions and stuff and elephants or whatnot and just, you know, leave them there just so you killed them. I think that's pretty gross. But anyway, Donald Trump Jr. has impressed me thus far because he's very witty, he's very funny, he's very smart, and he's, you know, very blunt and honest. So he's a huge, huge threat to the media, because the media, what are they? They're all smoke and mirrors, they're all lies, they're all negative, they're sociopaths, they're passive aggressive, just complete phonies. That's what the media is. They have a negative spin for everything. And Donald Trump is a very optimistic, fun person who's very smart, and he knows how to attack the media just like his father. So he's a huge, huge threat, and I knew they were going to come after Donald Trump Jr. weeks ago because he started talking about the deep state. He has no filter. He'll talk about anything. He'll talk about the deep state. He'll talk about CNN, you know, supporting terrorists. Donald Trump Jr. just does not care. He has absolutely no filter, just like his father. So he's a huge, huge threat. Of course they're going to come after him. And what better way with the Russian narrative that they admittingly said was just for ratings. And I mean, the saddest part about all of this is they're pushing this Russian narrative with Donald Trump Jr. Meanwhile, there's a ceasefire in Syria. For the first time in a long time, the United States is de-escalating war. Instead of escalating war and being more war, there's less war, and we're on the precipice of, we're destroying ISIS. Like I said yesterday, in Mosul, Iraq, the Iraqi citizens have retaken over their second largest city from ISIS, from terror groups. That's incredible. You don't hear the mainstream media blasting that because they don't want people to know they are literally war media. If you Google about the New York Times and the Washington Post, I don't remember exactly which one. To me, they're both the same. They're propaganda outlets. I confuse them because, I mean, propaganda and propaganda, what's the difference? But they had to apologize for the Iraq war because it was those news sources who led us into the Iraq war. Literally, it's not even like hidden. It's not an opinion. They have a whole article saying, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry for killing millions of Iraqis. I'm sorry for killing tens of thousands of Americans. I'm sorry for starting this war. I mean, they're war media. I don't know how much more obvious it could be. Whether you hate Trump or not, it doesn't change the fact that CNN, Washington Post, New York Times, they're war media. War. They care about war. They care about killing people. They care about fighting Russia, fighting Syria, destroying the leader, and expanding terrorism. They're literally terrorists. I mean, I don't know how else nice to put it. I put it very nicely all the time. You know, I try to be as nice and respectful as possible. But to me, the media are literally terrorists. I mean, you could say it's an opinion. I'm not going to say it strongly. I'm not going to push the fact, but I don't see a difference between terrorists and the media, because the media literally starts war. They fund terrorists. They hire terrorists for their organizations. CNN got caught recently hiring Al-Qaeda people for their own documentaries. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And even liberal news sources like Salon is a very, I would say feminine liberal news source. They even reported it. It's like, how obvious could it be? These news sources are literally terrorists. And you have a president of the United States trying to do some good. I don't think he has all the answers. I don't think the Republicans have any answers. I think Donald Trump is clearly the best thing to ever happen to the Republican Party. But the news sources are terrorists. They're the terrorists. It's not Donald Trump. It's not his family. It's not the fact that Donald Trump Jr. talked to Russia. It's the fact that the mainstream media sources control people's minds, lead us into war, lead us into confusion, lead us into negativity, and you hear nothing about it. And I want to double down on that, and I want to say, Bernie Sanders, I log into Snapchat this morning, and Bernie Sanders has all these like radicalized supporters of his just like sitting on the floor with all these healthcare bills like kill, 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 kill. Don't kill me, kill the bill. Don't kill me, kill the bill, kill the bill. It's like Bernie Sanders is even radicalizing his supporters, just saying kill, kill, kill all the time. Meanwhile, he says nothing about the ceasefire in Syria. He says nothing about the fact that Mosul just got recaptured by Iraqis. Like, do you care about saving lives? Do you care about ending the war, Bernie Sanders, along with the mainstream media? Or do you literally just care about socialism? Is that all you care about? Because if you look at Bernie Sanders' feed, while I think it's a very nice cause to try to be involved in healthcare and change it and help and save some lives, Bernie Sanders cares about nothing. He cares about nothing. He doesn't care about helping his supporters. He took $180 million from his supporters and says not a squeak about it. He literally only cares about socialism, and I think this week proves it with the mainstream media as well as him. I group him in now because he literally just aligned himself with the mainstream media, but they don't care about peace. They don't care about peace in the Middle East. They don't care about the fact that the New York Times and the Washington Post and MSNBC have literally been spewing lies that have led to millions of dead bodies, children, whatnot. They care about nothing. Twitter lies about the whole situation. Twitter's talking about Donald Trump Jr. He's like, well, Tim Kaine, this is like a Twitter trending story. Tim Kaine says that Donald Trump might have committed a felony. So most people read, or might have committed treason. So most people read that and says, Tim Kaine says, people are like, oh wow, well here's how I read that. I say, Democrat who surrounds himself by pedophiles and murderers says that Donald Trump Jr. might have committed treason. It's like your word doesn't really carry that much weight because you surround yourself by pedophiles and murderers, but everybody on Twitter is like, oh my God, well, Tim Kaine says it. Well, who cares about Tim Kaine? He's a failing vice president who will never be vice president because he surrounds himself by pedophiles and murderers. And nobody wants a pedophile and a murderer to be president. And that's why Hillary Clinton and her crony team didn't win. And they're never going to win because America doesn't want that. And no free country should ever want that. So it's getting really obnoxious, really annoying. I thought this Russia stuff would end last month when literally this is how dumb people are. This is how stupid and brainwashed people are, excuse me. But their own producers are literally admitting to you it's a whole thing for ratings. And what do people want to do now? It's because they manipulate people's emotions. I hate Donald Trump. This is what they say. Okay, people hate Donald Trump, so they want him to get impeached. That's fine, but you're never going to succeed when you get led by fake news. Even if you don't like Donald Trump, you shouldn't be believing fake news. They're just leading you on this Russia roller coaster that's lasted a year. Why do you think nothing's happened? Because it's a fake news roller coaster. It's for ratings. Ratings. James Comey hearing. Ratings. Donald Trump with the Russian lawyer. Ratings. Fake Russian news story that got 3 CNN people fired. Ratings. Oh, well, we told everybody 17 intelligence agencies, but it's really only 4. Ratings. And then they never tell you about all of the times they lied. How come they're able to lie all the time? They lied 20 plus times, 100 plus times this year. No repercussion. Donald Trump meets with a Russian lawyer. All of a sudden it's head news. It's because they're terrorist fake news organizations. They're literally terrorists. I don't know any nicer way to put it. They're terrorizing the United States. They're terrorizing the world. People are dying in the Middle East because of these news sources. You think it's a joke or an opinion. It's not. They let us into the Iraq War. Search New York Times apology Iraq War. They literally had to apologize for the Iraq War because they're a main culprit in leading us into it. Why do you think nobody knows about Gaddafi and what a leader he was and why Hillary Clinton killed him? Why do you think people don't know about the power vacuum left in Iraq? So ISIS took over. ISIS took over their cities. And yesterday, the US-led coalition with Iraqis, they took their city back from ISIS yesterday. Bernie Sanders won't talk about it because he's a fraud. He's a politician and he's a liar. The mainstream media won't talk about it because they're frauds. They want terrorism. They help terrorism grow. How do you think ISIS even came to power? It's because of the mainstream media literally hiding it, acting like a giant PR shield for terrorism so nobody knows what's going on. Meanwhile, US politicians are funding terrorists. That's why terrorism grew. It's because the United States funds terrorists. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard told you, multiple people told you, it's just the truth. I mean, I don't know any nicer way to put it because the truth is the truth no matter how many people believe it or not. And now you have those news sources, they're acting like, oh, they don't care. They're just trying to play with your emotions and lead you into negativity. It's just the truth. If Donald Trump fought Russia, they'd say, oh my God, look, he's fighting Russia. Or they won't say anything. He shot down a Russian or Syrian aircraft. They didn't care. It was like, oh, well, whatever. Then he gets along and starts a ceasefire so less people will die. And they're like, oh, well, let's talk about Donald Trump Jr. and a Russian lawyer. Like, is Donald Trump having a meeting with a Russian lawyer more serious than thousands of Syrian lives? I mean, this is how pathetic these people are. They talk trash on Trump about North Korea. North Korea's been out of control for a long time, and now Donald Trump's saying something about it. And I believe recently we even intercepted one of their missiles or whatever. And they're saying, oh, Donald Trump, blah, 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 he's so bad. If Donald Trump was to then get along with North Korea and strike a deal, they would be like, oh, he's working with North Korea. You can't win with the media because they're literally terrorists. They're fake news, negative, nasty, horrible people that literally will destroy entire countries for ratings. That's literally what they'll do. They have no filter. They have no love, no compassion. They will destroy your life, destroy your country, destroy the whole world before they tell the truth. That's how evil these people are. It's like nothing you can do is right. Oh, a ceasefire in Syria? Oh, not a big deal. It won't last. Okay, well, can we give it a chance? Because it didn't last in the past because you had politicians and news sources who didn't want it to last. But now we have an actual president who wants it to last, who has a decent relationship with Russia and Syria, and now they're trying to ruin it with fake news. And it's so sad and so pathetic because it's mostly here. If you talk to people from other countries who are from, I had a good conversation yesterday with someone from Uganda. I have a lot of people reach out to me who came to the United States from Iran. I know people from Iraq. I know people from Syria. I know people from Lebanon. I know people from Pakistan. I know all sorts of people, and 99.9% of them that live in the United States say, I'm very grateful to be in the United States. I love the United States. I appreciate the United States. I support the United States. You know, I'll fight for justice and whatnot, but I'm very grateful. It's only stupid, privileged Americans who have no filter of what the world really is, who hate on Donald Trump, who hate on America, who hate on society, who get out with picket fences, you know, saying, oh, women need more rights. Meanwhile, they're being led by people who support disgusting things in the Middle East, like, you know, they chop off women's genitals in certain areas of the Middle East, but feminists don't care about that. They only care about, you know, being passive aggressive and negative, even though they live in the greatest country where opportunity is literally around the corner. You can do anything. If you're a woman in this country, you could do anything. You could be a CEO. You could be a dancer. You could be an athlete. You could do whatever you want as a woman in this country. And I know many brilliant women who are business owners, who work, who are nurses, who are, you know, musicians. I know a lot of successful women that do a lot of great things because you can. And it's only these privileged, like passive-aggressive, negative, self-hateful people in the United States that want to tear down Donald Trump and any sort of truth, because the media, including social media now, you have Twitter, you have Facebook, you have a lot of these news sources, Cosmopolitan, Newsweek, Salon, pretty all of them, they feed into that. They feed into people's negativity. Why aren't journalists and news anchors, why aren't there any journalists and news anchors like me that spin things in a positive light. Like, hey, these things are bad. Let's fix these things. Let's fix the environment. Let's fix social justice. But it's a beautiful time to be alive because it doesn't sell. I notice myself. I post all the time about the realest stuff on my Facebook page, my personal one. Nobody responds. Nobody likes it. Nobody comments. I said one petty thing complaining about girls. One petty status being like, why do girls do this? I had 15 comments within 20 minutes. So at the same time that I'm very critical about the news sources and politicians, it's on us too. There's something about human nature that is like, hey, truth, love, justice, compassion, peace. No one cares. And all of a sudden you say something petty or something that's like argumentative, and everybody all of a sudden wants to tune in. It's like, how stupid are we that that's what we want? That's what gets ratings. So don't expect the news sources to change if a bunch of sheep keep following along with it. Like, la, 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 yeah. Trump talked to a Russian. Why don't you care about kids in Syria? Why don't you care about kids in Iraq? Why don't you care about kids in Somalia and Yemen? Why do you only care about yourself? It's selfish to just negatively hate on everything and follow along to this news. They're all lying to you. I mean, it's so annoying that it still happens. It's nice to see that the fake news media is crumbling. I mean, CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post, they've been exposed and destroyed beyond possible repair this year. But it's still frustrating. Every morning I wake up, I just get bombarded with fake news, and I know I'm not confused why people think it. I know exactly why people think this stuff, because you have to be very, very intellectual and very, very mentally strong to see through it, because you get bombarded with it. I wake up, I'm getting fake news on Facebook. I'm getting fake news on Twitter. I'm getting fake news on Google. All of the featured stories that are blasted to people. I'm getting fake and radicalized news from Bernie Sanders on Snapchat. If I didn't know any better, I would follow along with the fake news too, because it's everywhere. It's almost like, I know it's not almost like, it's exactly like, it's harder to get the actual truth. It's nearly impossible. It's a blessing that I'm even allowed to do this, and it's a blessing that there's people, you know, from all sides of the spectrum. On the left side, you have Jimmy Dore, you have H.A. Goodman, you have Tim Black, Caitlin Johnstone, a lot of really good writers, even Julian Assange. And then on the right, you have people like Mike Cernovich, you have Alex Jones, you have, you know, a lot of good truth tellers, Donald Trump Jr. even, he's talking about the deep state. You have a lot of good truth tellers on both sides who are pushing out the fake news. But it gets a little frustrating because every morning it's a new story. How long are we going to go along with this? They're all fake stories. How come they're allowed to lie to everybody 50 plus times, 100 plus times to no avail? Like when this story collapses, the Donald Trump Jr. story collapses, it's on. I'm really just trying to ask people that play along with this, how many times does this happen? Can we count from the beginning? Russia hacked the election. It was the power grid. No, it was this. It's 17 intelligence agencies. Oh, it's Manafort. Oh, wait, no, it's not. 3 people got fired from CNN because those were fake stories. Oh, it's this. Wait, no, that's a fake story. Oh, no, it's Jared Kushner. No, that's a fake story. Oh, it's Donald Trump Jr. No, that's a fake story. Oh, they've done it for 9 months. They're literally just stringing you along like a Netflix series. Fake news, fake news, fake news, fake news, fake news, fake news. Oh, please get impeached. It's so fucking pathetic. I'm so sick of it. I'm so tired of it every morning. How could you possibly play along with this? How many times do you get lied to? I get lied to like 3 times. I'm done. Bernie Sanders lied to me once. I'm like, I'll let him go. He lied to me twice. All right, I'll let him go. Bernie Sanders lied to me 3 times. 4 times. Now it's like Bernie Sanders lied to me 30 times. I'm done with him. Bernie Sanders is a rat. He's a phony, and he's a fraud. He's a complete, utter, negative, nasty, hateful fraud. I'm done with Bernie Sanders. He's a phony. I don't get lied to. People just love being lied to. Bernie Sanders lied to me. News lied to me. It's okay. You've lied. It's okay, MSNBC. You've lied to me about 50 plus things, but I'm just going to still keep going because I really want to take down Donald Trump. That's a pathetic mentality. Man up, woman up, strengthen up, because no matter what your political preference is, I have love for you. And I don't want to see you get lied to. I mean, it's pathetic to allow people to just destroy your mind, body, and soul lying to you. Whether it's Bernie Sanders or the mainstream media, nobody should be able to lie to you, and you keep following along like, please, any day it's going to happen. It's really sad. People shouldn't be allowed to exploit other people, exploit their emotions for their political gain or for their ratings. I don't do it for ratings. It was actually harder for me to do all this stuff. It would have been easier to just lie to people. Chelsea Clinton gets 100,000 retweets. The Truth gets 10,000 retweets. So it's 10 times as hard to tell the truth. If I would have just shilled for Bernie Sanders, that would have been easy. It's harder to do this, but I don't really care because I'm sick of the BS. And for the most part, whenever people approach me in person, it's all love. I don't even get people hating because they have nothing to say. If somebody was like, hey, let's talk about it in a friendly manner, and they almost always don't have anything to say because it's the truth. I mean, when your political views are built up from fake news and literally politicians lying to you and exploiting you, your race, religion, your gender for money and political gain, it's not going to end well in a logical debate. And that's what it is. So the Donald Trump Jr. news, it's a total flop. It's a total fail. He released his own emails. Where are Hillary Clinton's emails? When Podesta's emails leaked, what did WikiLeaks tell you? Or I'm sorry, what did CNN tell you? When Podesta emails leaked, they said, don't look at the emails. You're not allowed to look at them. It's illegal to look at them, even though it's not illegal to look at them. They said, it's illegal. You have to come to us and we'll report to you what they say. I mean, how obvious is it that these people are phonies and frauds? What are they hiding? A lot. They're hiding a lot, and it's all going to come out. That's why Donald Trump even took that meeting, because anybody who's paying attention, and don't let fake news lie to you, it's in the tens of millions of people. It's not in the millions. It's in the tens, if not hundreds of millions of people who know the truth, and it's all going to come out. Because it's a house of cards being stacked. And I'm surprised it lasted this long. Because it's stacked so deeply. It's stacked in Facebook. It's stacked in Google. It's stacked in Twitter. It's stacked in college universities. It's stacked in MSNBC. It's stacked in Washington Post. It's stacked in New York Times. It's so heavily stacked. But it's all collapsing. I mean, it's only literally a matter of time, and all of these people are going to have to bite their tongues. All of these people are going to have to apologize, and it's not new. They've apologized multiple times in the past. It's just nobody cares. It's like, oh, I'm sorry we let you do the Iraq war. I'm sorry that millions of people died, and people are like, no one cares. Why do you not care about that? I don't get it. But to sum it up, this Donald Trump Jr. stuff is just another installment. I mean, the Jared Kushner stuff, the hack stuff, this stuff, it's all just fake. I mean, anybody who knows how the internet works, anybody who knows about who's hacking who, anybody who knows about what past presidents and past secretary of states have done to other countries, if anybody knows about who really owns our country, if anybody knows about, you know, the corporations that really pull the strings behind the scenes, if anybody knows about literally anything, they know this is all really terrible news. It's fake, it's phony, it's unnecessary. It's like a magnifying glass on something that's not important, blasting it up. It's like, let's put a magnifying glass on a meeting with somebody Russian instead of an entire war that has killed millions of people being de-escalated. What's more important? The president's son, who tweets a lot, having a meeting with a lawyer, or a war that literally kills millions of people and people have been getting chemically gassed and just, you know, weapons of mass destruction being unleashed on innocent civilians? I don't know. It's obvious to me. I'm like, maybe we should focus on the fact that ISIS is getting destroyed and the Syrian war is de-escalating and hopefully coming to a halt. But it'll never come to a halt if our media keeps pushing it, because our media wants that war. They want just complete confusion. They want more refugees. I mean, it's how obvious could it be? I've given them a pass for a long time, but it's getting obnoxious. Thank you guys for joining. Appreciate you. And if you said, real quick before I leave, someone said you need to add links to the stories, just Google it. I said Google it. You can look it up. If you want to message me, message me. I'll send you the links. It's all available. People say all the time in the comments, they say, just literally search what he says. It's all out there. Sometimes it's Reuters, it's AP saying it, it's New York Times, Washington Post, it's everybody. They're all saying it. It's not, none of this information is hidden. I don't talk based on conspiracies. Everything I say is out there, it's proven, and it's available. They just prey on people not seeing it. I'm going to make a new video later about George Soros being banned from Israel and Hungary, so please check back for that. It's going to be interesting. If you guys know who George Soros is, tune in, and if you don't know who George Soros is, tune in too, because I'm going to try to give a really unbiased, balanced approach on who George Soros is, what he could possibly doing, what he's definitely doing, and why certain countries are banning him and his organizations. And while other countries like Israel and Russia and Hungary are banning George Soros's his companies, the United States, we're getting millions upon billions of dollars. He's funding activists, he's funding media sources, he's funding this, he's funding that. He's running rampant in our country, and he's well known as an economic hitman who literally takes down complete currencies and just destroys whole economies. And this guy's running rampant in our country. He's getting banned by Russia, banned by Israel, banned by Hungary, and he's running rampant in the United States, and nobody seems to care. So I'm going to report on that later. Thank you for joining. I'm going to put my links below, my donor box link. Appreciate your time. Have a good one.